Hello! I received a package. This time not a gift, but something I ordered. And I was really waiting for this one. Felt like a child yesterday when the FedEx said it will arrive today. This morning it said, oh no, it will be tomorrow. And I was like, no. And then it did arrive today. So it was nicely packed in this Chinese or Japanese. I might offend some people, I don't know. Oh, hello, Stinky. Cookie box. I'm not sure if it's cookies, but I guess it's cookies. It's a tin can. And I immediately thought, well, that's a good idea. I mean, if you have to ship magnets, this is a pretty nice method. Why not? I mean, reuse the tins if you eat a lot of cookies. So, I might keep it actually, because it's funny. And, well, I, of course, did have a look already. But, yeah. Stinky! Okay, I have to pat the cat real quick, because otherwise this doesn't stop. I'm back. Pussy wanted to go outside. So I opened this already. It was nicely packed. It's my sample of magnet I ordered, and as you can see, it's rubber magnet with a sparkle. It's sparkly rubber magnet. But really, I'm pretty impressed with how it looks. So I ordered magnet 4 millimeters wide, 3 millimeters thick. I based that size on actually nothing, because I couldn't choose which one I wanted, and I chose something in between. I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but we'll see. I'll just wanted to have some of this kind of magnet, and then I'll decide if I make another mold. So they made a mold and extruded this magnet on my specs. So you pay a fee for the mold making, for the extrusion machine. And well, they did. A nice detail is that it doesn't focus. It has a line there, so you can see what side is what. I did not check what side this is, but it's either north or south, but at least you know the one with the line is a certain pole. So this is NDfeb magnet. So this is rubber magnet with neodymium powder mixed in. So this should be heftier than this ferrite rubber stuff. This is actually almost the same size. The sparkly bits is, I guess the neodymium powder or boron, whatever powder that's in there. Now I cut off a few pieces, so I'm not gonna unroll this, but you can feel already that this is much stronger. So this is neodymium rubber magnet. It's not at all as strong as real sintered neodymium magnet. Like these tiny ones. It's no surprise either. So this is sintered neodymium magnet. So the powders, the same powders, maybe one less, I don't know, but the same powders are in this rubber magnet, filled with these powders and then extruded. These powders are also in here, but here it's like a solid. It's most of it is that kind of powder, and then it's sintered, so baked to a certain temperature, and you have a bar that looks like sort of metal, which is not metal, of course, but and then you magnetize it afterwards. The extruded stuff is mixed in with plastics or rubber, extruded, then when it's solidified, then it's magnetized. And in this case, this is very special NDfeb magnet, so even if you look online for this kind of magnet, you will not find it. also not in different sizes, you just won't find it. Because normally this is multi-pole magnet. And in this case, it has only 2 poles, north, south, or the other way around. So this is a special. The factory said, we make it and check if we can indeed magnetize it as you want it and how well it works. Because we were not sure. And they said, what are you expecting? What are you looking for? I said, well, I'm looking for at least twice the amount of surface Gauss than my current magnet. I prefer a little bit higher. So they said, well, you can then use a little less powerful rubber magnet, which is cheaper, neodymium rubber magnet. And I think it will suit your purpose. So when I got it, first thing I did, of course, is measure them. Yeah, so I said to them, my current magnet has a surface Gauss of around 300 Gauss. Maybe a tiny bit more, 330. And they said, well, then you can use this stuff, and if we can magnetize it the way you want, you will end up with something in the region of 1300 or something. Or I said, if it was like 1400 or 1300, I would be really pleased. And it is well, slightly less. Around. So what is cool, this is without metal, twice as strong, even more than that, than this rubber piece here. Now, if we put it on the metal, it's more like a real life scenario. I'll put it on millitesla. So I left a 3 millimeter spacing in between all these types of magnets. And the neodymium, the pure sintered neodymium is the hardest to get correct. I have a spacer here of 1 millimeter, and I'll put it on the magnet so I know I measure at the same height from the magnet. So neodymium is still way, way much stronger. It is 108 millitesla. Old rubber magnet. $34 it was. Yeah. So the neodymium is 3 times as strong as these. Now this one, the new magnet, it's around 62. This one is almost twice as strong as this one. It's not completely fair because these are much smaller than these. So let's measure the same size. I think that should be far lower. Yeah, 14. So that's all nice and dandy. These magnets are N38, which is not the strongest by far, but it's also not the weakest neodymium. You have 35 and you also have 32, I believe. I use this size of magnet in one of my tweeters in my planar magnetic panel. So the comparison this to that will be the most fair. It's nice that you can measure this, but I wanted to see what it actually did on a panel in dBs. Now normally if the field doubles you should gain 6 dB. I made a weird construction. There is a tweeter coil here, And I added some leftover magnets here and a spacer of 1 millimeter. So we measure all the output 1 millimeter away from the magnets to the coil. Currently it houses the old crappy magnet, which is really not strong at all. It can barely hold itself. I measured it with the neodymium magnets and also with the neodymium rubber magnet. I cut them all to the same pieces or length. These neodymium are thinner, so I moved them 1 millimeter closer to the foil to make it fair. And then we got this measurement. And in this measurement, it's not about how the curve looks, it's purely how sensitive, what the sensitivity is of each magnet when used in a coil. And it corresponds quite nicely. You can see the uppermost, loudest trace is the N38 magnet, which, well, was expected. Then under there, 6 dB lower is the NDfeb rubber magnet. And that corresponds kind of to the Gauss I measured. It's more or less almost half. So you lose 6 dB. And then if you compare that magnet to the rubber magnet, you lose another 10 dB. Which means that the new magnet is, if I play it conservative, around 8 to 10 dB more output than my previous magnet. And I think that's rather good news. It's rather good news because this magnet I can use easily with my rubber ferrite magnet as base panel and still have a few dB, like 3 or 4 dB, now well at least 4 dB left over to play with, to make a tweet or maybe correct some stuff, like placing a notch filter somewhere. I don't know, whatever. So that's great. Finally. Now I wonder if I can make a standalone tweeter with those magnets. And if it is efficiently enough, like 87, then it might be a very interesting tweeter to be used with all kinds of woofers. So that's one of my goals of this magnet. Maybe I order some different magnets, maybe a little bit wider, for instance, like 5 millimeter wide, 3 millimeter thick, or 2.5 millimeter thick. I don't know, I'll have to really think about it because you have to buy a mold fee every time. And it's, well, I wouldn't say hefty, but it's still, quite some cash. So, yeah. But so far I'm really, really pleased. There are stronger versions even, so I'll ask them what the difference is, besides price, but also I want to know how much stronger it is than the magnet I currently have, because this is really cool, but if it's not that more expensive to make it a little bit stronger, that might be interesting. I'm pretty sure that the strongest variant is not of interest for me, because it will be way too expensive. For now, this magnet could be could do some really nice stuff with. But it all depends on if I can get the price down. The magnet as it is right now, in price per meter, I can almost compare it to a neodymium sintered. So yeah, slightly less, by the way. But with shipping, etc., it comes close. So it has to come down quite a lot to be of interest. But yeah, I'm so far I am pretty pleased and also impressed how well it does and how nice it looks. It's all custom. It looks so smooth and nice. It's very cool. Not disappointed at all. I will send them a nice email that I really like the product so far and ask them some questions about UV and maybe if it corrodes or if that's possible, just out of interest because it's useful to know, and what the other variants are in strength. So very cool. Hopefully soon I'll have a tiny project with these to see what they can do and where they can be used for. Probably somewhere this week, because I'm pretty sure I cannot wait to make something, a mock-up, just to use the magnet and see what it does, and then make something else with it probably, but you know. See you around. Bye bye.